So this is a rabbit hole click. I was reading, this came up in one of the history videos. I don't remember which century, but my tab was open and I'm revisiting it. It's something that's called the Hallstatt culture. And I hadn't heard of this, so I clicked in. So basically, let's get into this. Okay, so the Hallstatt culture was the predominant Western and Central European archaeological culture. So what is an archaeological culture? Archaeological culture is a recurring assemblage of types of artifacts, buildings, and monuments from a specific period and region that may constitute the material culture remains of a particular past human society. So I guess like there's human kind of living culture, there's also archaeological culture. So the one that pertains to Western and Central Europe during the late Bronze Age is called the Hallstatt culture. The Bronze Age, the European Bronze Age, is categorized by Bronze Age artifacts. So I think it's a way of using tools to categorize history. So the Bronze Age, they had bronze tools. It starts with the Aegean Bronze Age in 3200 BC and spans the entire second millennium. I am clicking into this for a second. It lasts until 800 BC, it seems. So it's a very long period. So everything like past or up until the 800 BC mark would be considered the Bronze Age. So I guess, yeah, it's good to know. So back to our topic. And I didn't do this already. I'm going to do this now, so don't forget. Here's a timer for 5 minutes. There we go. Okay, so here we go. From the 8th to the 6th centuries BC, developing out of the Urnfield culture. It's another Wikipedia, was a late Bronze Age culture, and it's often divided into several local cultures. Okay, so the Hallstatt develops out of the Urnfield of the 12th century, so late Bronze Age, and following in much of its area by the Tène culture. Tène culture, another Wikipedia entry, is European Iron Age. So Iron Age, assuming that's after the Bronze Age, I think it is. So the Iron Age, the Tène culture is a European Iron Age culture developed and flourished during the late Iron Age, succeeding the early Iron Age Hallstatt culture without any definite cultural breaks. Okay, so it is commonly associated with Proto-Celtic speaking population. So Celtics, we know. Celtics are like, I guess, Germanic people, the British people. That's like the kind of Celtic culture. And Proto, I think, is before. So it's Proto-Celtic or Common Celtic is the hypothetical ancestral proto-language. Got it. Okay, it's a language. Proto-Celtic is a language. It's a proto-language of all the Celtic languages descendant of Proto-Indo-European. Good, cool. So it is so we're going back to the article. It is named for the type site. Okay, so type site is a term in archaeology. A type site is a site used to define a particular archaeological culture or other typological units, which is often named for it. For example, discoveries in Tène and Hallstatt led scholars to divide the European Iron Age into the Tène and Hallstatt culture. Okay, so it is named for its type site, Hallstatt. Hallstatt, wow, what a picture. I am going to click in because it's freaking amazing. Wow, it looks like a painting. How cool. Whoa, that's really cool. Hallstatt. Hallstatt is in Austria. Wow. What a place. All right. So it's named for Hallstatt, a lakeside village in the Austrian Salzkammergut. Maybe I'm saying that right, maybe not, probably not. Southeast of Salzburg, where there was a rich salt mine in some 1,300 burials that are known, many with fine artifacts. Okay, so they kind of, it seems like the salt mine led them to stumble upon these mass graves, and then the archaeology begins, and we start to get a lot of artifacts from a particular time and period. And they designate into four periods: Hallstatt A through D. A and B are the Late Bronze Age, and C and D are the Iron Age. Okay, so by the 6th century BC, it had expanded to include wide territories falling into two zones, east and west, between them covering much of Western and Central Europe down to the Alps and into northern Italy, parts of Britannia, Iberia, and so on. Okay, here's something cool. We're going to finish with this. The culture was also based on farming, but metalworking was considerably advanced, and by the end of the period, long-range trade within the area and with Mediterranean cultures was economically significant. Social distinctions became increasingly important with emerging elite classes of chieftains and warriors, and perhaps those with some skills. Society is thought to have been organized in a tribal basis. Settlement size was generally small, although a few of the largest settlements like Hüneburg in South Germany were towns rather than villages. Very cool. Okay, so we took a little bit of a deep dive into this Hallstatt culture, and that seems to like kind of sit on the fence of like the late Bronze Age and the early Iron Age. Kind of brings us. I was doing this history. I did the history from 8th century until present day, and sort of this sits right there, kind of between like it, from the 8th to the 6th. This is what's going on in like Celtic cultures in those days. Very cool. All right, see you on the next rabbit hole.